Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Devin Sears, and I am excited to have an elite panel join us today. We have a few different people from a few different companies, and we will give them an opportunity to introduce themselves after I give a small introduction on each of them and about what we're talking about today. So today's topic is SEO in transition, a roundtable on strategy, AI, and what comes next. And we wanted to speak today about AI in SEO. SEO, search engine optimization, AI is artificial intelligence. So, very quickly, the technology is advancing to the point where people are utilizing AI to improve their SEO efforts as they're building their websites. And we wanted to make sure that everyone participating in today's webinar can hear from three experts within the field that spend all of their time learning about this, studying about this, staying up to date with different trends to give some of their thoughts and their responses on the various different aspects that go into SEO, what tools might be useful, what practices might be outdated or beginning to be outdated. So I'm very excited for this. We're excited to have you with us here today. And to get into introductions, first we have Krunal Mehta. He is the director of SEO at Bluehost. He lives, breathes, and eats SEO and all things related to that. We also have with us Anurag Singhal. He is the founder and CEO of Quarter, and we are thrilled to have him join us. And we also have Nico Corner, who is the director of product at Yoast. So we have an elite squad of people, and also my picture. I am the senior marketing manager at Bluehost. I will be facilitating this. I've got my list of questions. I'm excited to ask them. And before we jump into all of the questions and everything that we want to get into today, I want to run over one or two quick housekeeping items, and then honestly, that's probably it for slides today. Today is mostly an open table discussion about the different tools and tricks and things that our esteemed panel has learned in their journey with SEO and AI. But first, a couple housekeeping items. If you can hear us, please tell us where you're tuning in from. One, that lets us know that our audio is transmitting. Two, that lets us see what kind of global audience we have joining us today. If you can't hear us, if you're joining on a mobile device, then oftentimes you'll have to click on the screen to unmute the stream. If you have any questions or if you're having any issues, please don't hesitate to drop that in the chat. I will do my best to help you troubleshoot that. Oftentimes, closing out of the webinar and rejoining is the best way to mitigate most of the issues that will pop up as you go through the webinar. And the other thing, we want to make sure that this is engaging and informative for you. So if at any time you have a question, please don't hesitate to ask it in the chat or in the Q&A tab. If it's a little bit more of a complex question, I might move it from the chat to the Q&A tab. That just gives us the opportunity to have a threaded response so we can have a bit of a back and forth instead of the chat where it's just the last person to send a message will be at the top of the chat. So I believe that brings us through everything as far as housekeeping. So with that, I'm going to turn slides off. As I mentioned before, I would love to give each of our three panelists the opportunity to give themselves a little bit of an introduction. Personally, I would love to hear what your background with SEO is, maybe a little bit about how you got into SEO. And Anurag, I think you're in the top left for me. So why don't we just start with you? Thanks.
Sure, thank you, and great to be here, and thanks for having me. I'm Anurag Singhal, founder and CEO of Quarter, and my journey in SEO actually started, a long time back when, I was working at Realtor.com, and we had really in a very, very competitive space when it comes to SEO, and that journey really showed me the power of first-party data and the power of AI in automating a lot of the work that goes into SEO. And over the 3 years I was there, we ended up becoming the top online real estate website in 65% of the US cities. And that's what inspired me to build a platform that can bring the same level of scale of using AI and first party data to automate SEO more and more. And today, with the advent of generative technology, I think the role of AI in SEO is coming full circle, and we've been at the forefront of applying AI and automation to bring SEO, and GEO together in one platform, and so Quora helps automate a lot of the work that goes into each of these areas, and that's been my journey for the last 6 years building out this platform.
Awesome. Thank you. Nico, going clockwise, you are next. So I'd love to hear from you as well.
Thanks, Devin. Great to being here. So yeah, I'm Nico. I'm in product and in SEO for more than 15 years. The first interaction with SEO I had when I built my first website, I think. And from that day on, I learned and I adapted to everything that happened in SEO. In the last years, I was leading one of the biggest SEO tools and companies in Germany. And then I happily joined Yoast as part of Newfold back in 24 and leading the product and SEO and UX teams here at Yoast. And we build a lot of stuff to help you improve SEO, but also invested a lot in AI and in AI tools. So yeah, I think I have kind of a bit of experience and happy to discuss the topics today. Thanks, Devin.
Awesome. And Kernal, please give us a brief intro for you as well.
Thanks, Devin, and excited to be here. Excited to meet the panelists here as well. My name is Kernal. I am the director of SEO here at Bluehost. Joined the organization. Actually, I get to 1 year mark tomorrow. So excited to
Congratulations.
first anniversary here. Thank you. I started in SEO back in 2007-8 before any of the animals like pandas were let out the zoo. So different times. My journey was actually doing sales at a computer training institute, and didn't really have to sell one course. And I was trying to figure out, why do I not have to have any targets? What's this about? And turned out it was SEO. So that's how I got started into SEO. Since then, have had the privilege to work with businesses of all size, shapes, across small, medium to enterprises. I spent the bulk of my career on the agency side. For the past 6 years, I've been working on in-house with enterprise brands. Prior to Bluehost, I was with a global fintech platform leading their global SEO efforts across 6 different markets. And since joining Bluehost, it's been a privilege to not just help Bluehost, but else also the millions of customers that Bluehost supports in terms of building their online presence. So very excited to have this conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Two other housekeeping items that I forgot to mention previously, and I'm super excited to have the three of you here. One, just for the audience, as you're asking questions, we will do our best as each of us are not answering to try to answer your questions. So please don't hesitate to ask questions. The other request that I have, I feel like we get so caught up occasionally in our world of acronyms. So to the panelists, I just, if you can, we might not be able to catch all of them, but as we go through this, if we can, just maybe give just a brief explanation of what the acronym, because I know we're going to get into SEO, GEO, LLM. There's so many, and for someone that is not familiar and spends as much time in this world as the three of you, I don't want them to get lost or feel frustrated that they don't speak the language of SEO. So just as a subtle reminder, and I'll do my best as well to put things into chat if I hear something that I know, but I also admit that I don't know all of the acronyms that are commonly used, and they're changing regularly. So with that, I'd love to jump into the first question. And Nico, I want to start with you on this one, and then we'll go to Kernal and then Anurag. So the first question is, what's one tried and true SEO best practice that still delivers results, and one that you feel is starting to have diminishing returns and is not worth the effort as much? I'd love to start with you, Nico.
Sure. Good question. And I think there are more than 10 maybe best practices that we can talk about. But maybe if we look at priorities and what is most important and what we're seeing in the field that is really helping is focusing on structured data. Structured data will not go away. It will become more and more important. This is what we're already seeing in the field, and this is a strong recommendation. The machines can read structured data, so it will have impact on your rankings, on your visibility in LLMs. So you can use schema, for example, and this is something where I see it as a strong investment in the future of your website and your business. The other thing that we are doing at Yoast as well is investing into internal linking. We know that external linking is kind of always, especially for smaller brands, smaller companies, quite difficult to get external links. So what we're recommending is using internal links to have like also strong guidance for any crawler, any visitor to getting and finding the content that we want to push. And this is what I really recommend. I would say what goes away a bit, but I'm happy to hear the opinion on the from the other folks here, is the strong focus on single keywords. With the change in, is it SEO even the right term for it? With the change how users are interacting with the web is changing and becoming more driven by native language. So I don't say it's not important, but it gets less important over the next years, I would say. And with that being said, maybe someone else can add something to it.
Kunal, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Thanks, Devin, and thank you, Nico. First of all, +1 to both the items that Nico said. Structured data, super important, and also only going to get more and more helpful with more and more bots being added, and +1 to also keywords being less important. All right, so from my end, I think the one thing that isn't going away, the one SEO best practice that still I think is timeless and is just making sure that your website and your content are accessible, crawlable, and indexable, right? Because that hasn't changed. That's not going away. What's changing really is who is crawling, right? And now we have the LLM bots who are also crawling, and your AI LLM bots are also crawling. And the crawling behavior might be different. What they understand and how they understand, how they interpret might be different. But the crawling isn't going away, right? And because that is true, I think the success today in SEO, it actually starts with a technically solid foundation, which is fast, which is secure, structured, like Nico said, and hosted on a platform that is built for performance and visibility. And if that foundation isn't strong, no amount of AI or content strategy will help you scale. So that's what I think is that. On the flip side, think this might sound across as obvious, but I think I still see some people doing it. The tactics that have completely lost value are those old school Web 2.0 style link schemes, bookmarking site, director submission, mass link exchange, all that sort of stuff. I think they are a relics of an era when SEO was just about gaming algorithms, and now it's about earning trust, authority through quality content, brand signals, and user experience. So that's what my take is on one thing that stays and one thing that has gone away. Hope that helps.
I think really great points across the board, and I think I would say +1 to almost everything I heard so far. So, but the one thing I want to add on the tried and true techniques that have always worked is a very clear content structure outline. The right heading structures that can really make the content piece highly readable. It's adds value to your content, makes it easy for users and easy for machines. And the importance of that has just gone up with AI. Helping make your content discoverable in LLMs and in how they're answering your questions. So, and that when combined with the right content, going into that structure, there's a coherent structure of your content with the right topics being covered. is a really an amazing combination, and that's not changed much, but the importance has gone up with AI search today. On the flip side, I think that a lot of SEO efforts have at times gone into counting how many times you're mentioning a specific keyword, a term, or what the length of the article you're writing. And I think that is something that may have worked at some point, but I think it's been ineffective for the last few years, and with AI, it's even more ineffective. So I think any kind of tools that are counting keywords and counting length of the article and giving you an SEO score, I think are going to be less and less effective in this world.
Awesome. I appreciate all of those responses. And the keyword, some of you, I think actually all of you mentioned that, a lesser focus on keywords. And it reminds me of, I think it's like a black hat technique from long ago, where people would put whatever keyword they were trying to rank for in white text and just fill the background, so that when a bot would crawl it, it would say, "Oh my goodness, it's talking about lawn service 10,000 times in this. This must be the internet's most important article about lawn service. It should be number one." And I mean, obviously, since then, the bots have gotten way smarter. The algorithms have been finely tuned. And that kind of brings us to our next question. Good content, and I think from my perspective as someone that is not an SEO expert, I feel like I'm trying to find the balance as I'm talking with people that ask me questions about this, between the technical aspect of making sure you have good structure in your data, and the content side of things, where it's like, if I just write something that my audience enjoys, then will the SEO follow? So this next question specifically, I'd love to hear, and we'll start with you, Kunal, and then go Anurag and Nico. If you can tell us, how has the definition of good content changed in the last 12 to 18 months, especially with AI generated content becoming more common? More and more people are utilizing that to build their websites faster. So yeah, I'd love to hear what's your definition of good content?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think with AI content becoming so common, the definition of good has shifted from how much you can produce to how original and authentic it feels. I think the best content today, it carries a clear brand voice and personality. It sounds like you, doesn't sound like the internet. It's backed by first party data, real experience, unique insights that can't be scraped or rephrased by an LLM, because everything else the LLMs, the AI slop can do. And especially at Bluehost, what we've seen is that is the type of content that performs best, both for search engines as well as for users, right? Is and bots as well. Is the kind that teaches first-hand expertise. It reflects real customer experience, and it integrates the brand's perspective throughout. So if you read any of the content that we put out on the website, through our blogs, stuff like that, you will see the Bluehost voice, the Bluehost perspective across all of our touch points. And that's what helps it stand out in a sea of AI generated sameness.
I think really great points, Kunal. I think I would echo all of that. And in what I phrase it as is, I think the definition of good content is probably not changed as much, as it's still, like Kunal said, it's about users, and it has to inform and engage the users. And even if by some SEO techniques your content jump to the top of the SERPs, if users do not engage, the algorithms learn quickly, and the content falls off from the SERP. So I think what has really changed with AI is the mechanisms of creating good content have changed dramatically. So I think first of all, AI is able to really generate some very unique, very on point, on brand content. So you can combine your unique insights with your company's guidelines and assets, as well as a lot of the competitive insights that you might glean from reviewing your competitors' content and what's performing in the specific surface that you want to compete in, and AI can create really great quality content using that. That was harder until maybe last year or in 2023. In 2025, I think a lot of marketers are experimenting with AI and scaling their content production with AI. That means that there's instead of just putting out a lot more content because you can use AI, the best marketers are using the time freed up to raise the bar on what kind of content leaves their desk. And that means incorporating more internal links contextually, linking to more content, incorporating more images, more FAQs and markups to really make it cut above the rest. And I think that has really resulted in the bar for performing well in AI and in Google much higher. So we're going to see a lot harder to even for good content to perform well in search. And so this is going to be an evolving space where a lot more data driven and AI powered optimizations are going to be important to scale your performance in search.
Good points. I think in the last 18 months, Google, for example, didn't really change how they view AI content. I think it's still not against the guidelines per se, but I recommend to use AI as it was built to make things easier and faster, but not to become like a spam factory. So as the other folks said, it's about authority. It's about finding your own niche, finding your own tone of voice. And this can't be done with AI itself. So good content didn't really change. There's just like a higher risk to create spam content, I would say, because it's so easy, right? You can do it so fast that it's also, I can totally get that businesses want to do it because the more, the better. Maybe that was the case 10 years ago, but that's not the case anymore. You want to build your authority and create good content that is citable. We see that AI overviews becoming more and more gatekeepers, meaning 0 clicks, how we call it, that people don't really go further than Google anymore. So your content is directly visible in overviews. So if you want to get your brand in there, be citable, have your niche, and use AI, that's totally fine, I think, to start thinking a process, or to help you in terms of pace, but also be cautious about it because the large language models are not always the smartest tools in the world. So there is a lot of fake things happening there. It's like sources that are not existing. So, and this is why we at Yoast always say we want and need to keep the human in the loop, right? Use it, that's fine, but make sure that you are the authority, that you understand what you're writing about, and then you can see it in the results as well.
I think that's great. I think that's really, really well said. And I think you touched on something that's really important, and that's that search engine results pages or SERPs are beginning to display results differently. I'm sure anyone that's been on the internet in the last year or so has searched for something and has seen that AI insights that pops up. It's not a link. It's not going to someone's website. It just gives you the answer. If it's, if you're looking for a recipe or a single data point or a little bit of information or even a process on how to do something, it gives you the answer in the AI overview. It doesn't direct you to a page anymore. So that actually leads perfectly into the next question. And Anurag, I'd love to start with you and then go Nico Kernal next. The next question is, when you think about the future of SEO, what major shifts do you expect in how search engines display results or attribute traffic?
Yeah, I think that's a question I think a lot about, and I think almost everyone is thinking a lot about lately, because search has been changing so rapidly. It just makes the question really obvious today. From my point of view, I think search has already evolved from into answer engines, and we are all responding to that in various ways. But from here, I think search is also evolving into journey engines. And what I mean by a journey engine is that I think it's not just going to be you put in a question or a prompt and you get an answer. You're going to have a real journey with the AI, and that collapses the marketing funnel. You're going through the entire phase of your, what you would call as the typical funnel of, awareness, consideration, purchase, and post-purchase, and you with your AI agent all along, and they have the context about your journey, and they're continuously and increasingly personalizing the responses that they're offering, and that means you could put in a prompt like, hey, decide my dinner for tonight and order the ingredients from my Instacart account, and then after you receive the food, you can also handle any support requests right from there. So that I think means that the AI of tomorrow is going to increasingly try to keep the user in that conversation, and a lot has to happen right within that conversation. Our brands need to, not just stay on the website, but also go become part of those journeys. And I think secondly, that in part of these journeys, we will see a lot more engagement and usage of AI, where search becomes a lot more important, because users are spending manyfold more time with AI and doing more journeys and more actions, which means that I think the surface area for us to optimize is going to explode. We are going to see a lot more of deeper demands that people are engaging in AI to get their answers and get the job done. And the brands that create the most compelling, comprehensive journeys, soup to nuts, will see AI preferring those brands because they can, complement the journey.
I love it. I love how you explained that, and I fully agree. I see that the industry will even change more in the upcoming years. I would call it like low visibility web, because like your website will not get the traffic that it got like in the last 10 years. It will go away. This will also change, I think, which KPIs you need to measure, but maybe we can touch on that a bit later. I strongly believe that there's a business reason why this gatekeeping is happening, right? But it's really like you need to adapt to this gatekeeping, and you're totally right as well that you don't stop with one. Let's call it, even if it's a search, right? It's more like you do it in native language and so on. But you will not stop with one. So you have like additional questions to it, and you stay in ChatGPT way longer than maybe you did with Google in the past. And therefore, what you need to make sure is that you get the citations in, right? That your brand is mentioned. And I think once again, it's more about getting your brand awareness high than getting the clicks and the visits on your website. I think, I don't know if everyone here agrees, but it feels like the change is happening quite fast at the moment. I never experienced that in my career yet, that things happening too fast. And to be honest, I think no one here in this round can really answer how it will be in 1 year, but it changed rapidly. And I think this gatekeeping will continue. If we see already 60% as zero clicks, it will just become more, right? Everything that we see in the presentations of Google, of OpenAI, everything leads, the new browsers in the market, right? Everything leads to become very focused on keeping the users at their stage in the journey. So the shift is already there. The question is just how big will it be, and how bad will it be for the brands that are not OpenAI or Google?
Yeah, 100% agreed. I think the biggest shift, and to I almost feel like Nico stole my answer now. But I think the biggest shift that we are already seeing, and like Nico said, it's accelerating fast, is that SEO is no longer just about ranking links. It's about earning visibility across multiple answer surfaces. To Anurag's point, these are answer engines and to answer surfaces. I think search engines are transforming into AI driven discovery platforms where results kind of appear as summaries, carousels, voice answers, generative overviews, not just 10 blue links, right? And I think that means that the old, to Nico's point, rank and click model is giving way to be visible and to be cited. And I think the second major shift that is happening is around attribution. Like Nico said, traffic may no longer flow the same way, but influence and brand visibility still matter. And so I think SEOs will need to expand what they measure, not just sessions or CTR, but how often your brand appears in AI answers, snippets, or recommendations. Uh, at Bluehost, for example, we've started adapting that to that reality. And the way we are doing this, the way we are helping businesses focus not only on ranking, but is by making sure that we are also focused on them, these small businesses being referenced, being recommended, being recognized with the help of Yoast and in this new AI first ecosystem. And that's where I think the future of SEO visibility lies.
I like it. I think that's very, very insightful. Um, and I think a lot of the conversations I've had with small businesses, they're trying to find the best way to allocate their resources and to spend their time on different things. And so the next question I have is in that same vein. And essentially the question is, how should small businesses or agencies balance short-term SEO wins with longer-term investments in content and authority? And Nico, let's start with you if you don't mind on that.
Absolutely. That's a very good question. I think we touched a bit on discovery already and how important discovery is nowadays. I would recommend to really start with discovery. And what I mean by that is, as we see the behavior of users is changing and a lot of things are moving into this LLMs and, in ChatGPT, for example. And I always take, I think the biggest point that made me convinced that the changes there is that my mom told me, like, yeah, just ask ChatGPT about this. And I said, oh, okay, you got the app. So now it's there, right? It will not go away. But that being said, I think with discovery, what I mean is find out how your brand is doing as of today in the LLMs. Discover it. So there are tons of tools out there. Luckily, we also launched one. So with Yoast, you can figure out how your brand is doing in the LLMs. But I think that's very important at the moment as one of the first steps, because interesting enough, you will find out that you have other competitors maybe than you think. And we saw in the first months of having our tool out there, first weeks, that our customers have found different competitors that are very threatening the business, that they were not aware of it. And why I mentioned that is because then you can find out a bit like, where are your gaps to this competition? Like maybe there are topics you're not talk about. And this could be kind of the groundwork you should do at the beginning, and then start doing the real, let's call it still SEO stuff, right? The basics, like technical SEO. There are wonderful plugins out there that help you doing that. And do your basic, and do that in a way that you have the technical SEO ready, that you have meta descriptions, SEO titles ready, that you have, I think we talked about internal linking already, that everything there is in place. And take it from there. And with the knowledge about your competition, try to build kind of a hub about a certain topic where you are really good, what maybe makes your business stand out, makes your brand stand out, and where you also, your stuff and you can stand out. It's back to the topic of authority, back to the topic of becoming a voice that then gets cited by the LLMs. So I would say discovery, fix the basic, and take it from there with becoming an expert in your niche.
No, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well.
So I think it's a great question. I also think, like Nico, I think it should start at the bottom. So your bottom of the funnel, you want to make sure how your brand is being represented. And I love quoting this example that I heard when I was at SEO Week NYC. Gentleman named Dan Petrovic, a legend in the SEO industry, runs an agency called Dijan based out of Australia, said something really, really simple that I think any small business or individual can go and try out today. It's like one simple prompt. So whatever LLM you're using, just say, what are the top 5 entities that you associate with Bluehost, and replace Bluehost with your own business name. The idea is you want to start understanding how your business or brand is being understood by that particular LLM, and then do the exact same thing for 3 or 4 other competitors. And you'll start to paint a picture trying to understand how your brand versus your competitor's brand is being interpreted, understood by these LLMs, because that's likely how they are going to be represented in context in conversations. Do you come up for the right topics, so on and so forth? Very, very basic, but very, very powerful. So I think that's one, and then you work your way from there. So you create a strategy that kind of makes sure that your brand and the LLMs are aligned. You align your business with these LLMs so that it gets mentioned, it gets cited in the right context. Because there's a lot of uh, differences between the search engines and the LLMs, and this how search engines rank versus how LLM sites, so on and so forth. And it's a lot of technical know-how for businesses to start learn all of that. So instead, just do this. It's very simple prompt. Try it out, and you'll start to see where your gaps are and start filling that. Secondly, to Nico's point, just start monitor over time, because like what happened in there are all sorts of licensing deals that these LLMs have with different publishers, Reddit, etc. And when these licensing deals kind of change or happen, they entirely change the responses and the ranking of brands. So just monitor over time how your brand is or isn't being cited for the right topics. And there are tons of tools and plugins out there to do that, and then start reacting to that. I think that's what small business can just start working with right away.
Really love that. I think when it comes to short-term wins, that's been a topic that keeps me awake at night oftentimes, because the reason is because when we are going into any new engagement, we're up against showing some quick results, and so there are kind of two kinds of strategies we've tested across the board, and that proven out to work well. So I'm speaking here from trying out various different ways to get quick wins, and also evolving our platform to deliver those quick wins to our customers. So the first one, when it comes to SMBs and agencies, I would typically go in with a content refresh. You've got so much content that you've produced and spent time building, and there is so much gold waiting to be unlocked there. And the way the AI has evolved, it has made it so much more efficient and easy to refresh your existing content. So we've actually built out an AI agent, Giga, that can completely automate that refresh. And so we would typically go in and recommend you identify your top 50 pages that were driving conversions, that were that saw some drop in visibility in the last compared to last year or something, and pick those and divide it among your team that was just busy creating that new content. Let's hold it off, and let's say just put some of that capacity towards refreshing that content and unlocking the value from there. Identify the topics you're missing, compare what's performing in ChatGPT and the other AI surfaces, and bring in those the gaps that you research, incorporate those, incorporate links to other assets that have been produced since you produced that content previously, and make that content really current and relevant, and that can unlock a lot of quick win traffic for your brand. But when it comes to a larger website and a bigger brand, like say thousands to millions of pages, then we would go in with an automated internal linking, which came up a couple of times earlier, and automating that link map for the entire website. Because what has happened as this website evolved into thousands to millions of pages is that the opportunities to link to the right content were overlooked all along because it's just so hard to keep up with linking. And so by scanning your entire website and interconnecting using semantics and context to the right pages, and then completely automating that process going forward, I think we've been able to show your visibility in AI overviews increased such as 79% growth for a B2B SaaS company, and so I think that's a tried and true technique because it's the latent opportunity that we're unlocking over there.
Yeah, I think that's all very, very important information. I think that's a very valuable advice as well. And I feel like all of you kind of touched on a few things, either in this answer and a previous answer, about how important two different A's of SEO are. And I think one of those A's is authority and the other A is authenticity, And I think, Kunal, you mentioned like making sure that whatever tooling you're using is speaking in your voice. And I think that's becoming more and more prevalent and important as people are creating their brand online and having SEO play a role in that. And that kind of brings us to our next question. And Kunal, I'd love to start with you and then go to Anurag and Nico on this one. Um, as we use more and more tools with AI, what are some of the ethical or even quality challenges that you're seeing with AI tools being used for SEO? And do you have any advice for marketers on how they can use those tools responsibly?
Yeah, it's a great question. Great topic. Talk about ethics in the world of AI. My number one challenge, and I manage a sizable content team here at Bluehost, is how good AI is at making stuff up. Right? It's so good. It's so convincing. It's really hard to tell if it's making it up. And so that's the number one challenge. Is just how good it is at making stuff up. It's also just knowing that it always will try to make stuff up, or for the most part, will try to do lazy things. How do we ground that into reality? And so at Bluehost, what we've tried to solve for, or how we've tried to solve for that, is using our own internal knowledge. So Bluehost is a large contributor to the WordPress ecosystem, to the WordPress core. And so not only from a WordPress base, but we've been doing with this for more than 2 decades, the whole hosting business. And so there is a lot of domain expertise that we have in the room. And so we've gathered all of these using different range of different documents, and we make sure that all of the information that we put out there is grounded in the reality that we know as the entire organization. So not just one person, not just one AI, but grounded in the reality that we know. So that's the challenge, and that's how we are solving for it. And we solve this using different tools like custom GPT bots, for example, where we have these grounding information in the Knowledge Hub. Now with Quarter, we are also able to upload all of that into a much more enterprise size system, which can then use the right document in the right context, in the right place, in the right form and shape. So those are the kind of tools that I'd recommend. But I highly recommend people. It's funny. Back in March, I created a custom GPT bot to create content briefs, but then I create another custom GPT bot to QA the content brief. Right. So you could also, use AI to make sure that your AI is not doing an AI thing.
Yeah, love to see how that plays out, and the excited to see the impact of Quora at Bluehost. So good to hear that now. I think really this is a time when we've got immense power in our hands with AI, and it brings in both ethics and safety to the forefront. because the content that we will create will be training the language models of tomorrow, will be answering the questions for tomorrow. And I think we may look back and say, hey, what a mess we've created if we do not act responsibly today. So I think using AI is, a privilege, and I think we should really be, fact checking, the content we're creating, and that really means that it's not just a tool problem; it's also a human in the loop problem. I think we have to keep a human in the loop as AI is being leveraged, and so it cannot be that you have a big button and you push 10,000 articles and you publish them. I don't think that's a good way of leveraging AI, and so. I think the other part is that in doing that, most likely you're going to get your website burnt anyways. So it's not a good long-term strategy to let the human out of the loop. So like Kunal said, really grounding in truth, bringing in your first-party assets into the mix, bringing in your unique thoughts and ideas into the as an input to the process is going to be really vital to safe and ethical use of AI.
Very good points, and I love this human in the loop. We're using that at Yoast internally, externally. From our experience, like creating a feature that generates content with just one click is one of the easiest things you can do nowadays. But there's a good reasons why we don't have it. We have always this philosophy to keep human in the loop for good reasons. And especially what my colleagues already mentioned, that AI is very good at making things up. That good that you are convinced from the very beginning that it is real, and then you check the sources and it's not. So it's a lot of work to really find out to work best with AI. I think we had already great talking points here. The last thing I would like to mention is, and this is something maybe more for the future, but we're already seeing that happen in the European Union, is that regulations will come in. And so you have to be responsible, because I know that Spain, for example, is already giving out and moving to penalties if you don't flag your AI content, and they can identify it. So I think there's another thing we need to keep in the back of our heads. Maybe this will take some time to have this internationally, but there will also be a move to more regulations and to make sure that AI is not creating things and hoaxes and spam that we don't want. So keep that in mind as well if you use AI to create anything.
I think those are all really good answers. And while y'all were speaking, a thought kind of occurred to me that I feel like anyone that's been using the internet for a while, we know that people can lie on the internet. You see an insane headline of someone like jumps into a pen at a zoo and fights a bear, and you have to think, like, is that just someone in Florida, or is that a fake headline? Maybe that one's a tough one to tell, but it almost feels like with AI, people are more susceptible to just accepting it as truth. And I'm just kind of realizing this now, but it's kind of an interesting evolution of the internet, where previously we might be skeptical if we just see that crazy headline. But if AI feeds it to us after a question, I feel like people are more likely to believe that. So I think it's really important to have that human in the loop, as all of you mentioned, and to kind of be fact checking whatever you're using as part of your brand's foundation or as part of your brand's voice, to make sure that you're giving accurate and important information. And then the next question I have, and I think Anurag will start with you and then go to Nico and Kernal on this one. We've talked a lot about different AI tooling, but I'm kind of curious from a framework and process. The AI tool is a part of that process, but if you were to build an SEO strategy from scratch today, how would it build from an SEO strategy from 5 years ago?
That's a very interesting question. I think compared to 5 years ago and today, I don't think one thing that doesn't change, I think, is we need to start with real user needs. We need to we want to start with what are people looking for? What are the problems and needs that we can answer, and which are the ones that are relevant to my brand, and how the ones that I can really be the best answer for, and focusing on that. But then I think there is the new things that we need to start doing as well with the AI search, and one of them is narrative control. And what that means is that I think earlier, if you did not write about some topics, the downside was you would not rank for that. You would lose traffic. Today, if you do not write about a topic that is pertinent to your brand, someone else will, and AI will answer about, and talk about your brand, or really insert information that is not how you want it to be said. So that brings to, I think, a new type of SEO, which is branded SEO. And traditionally, SEO was in the realm of non-brand traffic. We were primarily focusing on how to win more non-brand searches. In today's SEO, I think the endeavors around building your brand need to be a important part of your SEO strategy going forward. That's almost like how a brand thought about building their social media presence, like a LinkedIn channel or a TikTok channel. You're now building a similar kind of a channel within the LLMs. What are they saying about our brand? So we need to have that kind of a presence inside the LLM, and we need to look at what are those user needs around the journeys they're taking, and when what kind of answers do we need to present, which makes it really important to track our AI visibility inside these LLMs across both those non-brand prompts that are users are not thinking about a brand, which brands are being mentioned, and then when users are specifically engaging with our brand but not yet visiting our website, what are the questions they're asking? How is AI responding about it? Which sites are influencing them? And then we need to reinforce that message, not just on our own website, but also via what the narrative is across other sites. So whether it's about reviews on other platforms, what are they saying about your product, and encouraging your best users and champions to write about you on those platforms, and similarly other kind of listicles and Reddit kind of forums, reinforcing the same consistent message about your brand across the board. And I think that's kind of how the LLM model learn through reinforcement learning. We as marketers need to help them reinforcement learn our brand, and consistency is going to be key.
Thanks for advertising our Yoast tool, because it was perfect. We tried to really find a solution for especially this visibility and this clarity, how you're performing LLMs with our AI brand insights tool. And I think this should and needs to become part of your strategy today, right? To really understand how is your brand performing in the LLMs and what is the sentiment about it. You mentioned the branded and unbranded queries that are going in. I think the strongest one to be ranked in is the unbranded one. That's obviously where you want to be, but the branded ones give you also better opportunities to convert something, correct? But the unbranded ones are very interesting to get kind of a glance on what is the sentiment about your brand. This is why we introduced also sentiment analysis in our tool, where you can understand how is the LLM understanding your brand, right? This is built on the content that is out there, and this needs to be part of your strategy to understand which content is out there about your brand. Is it right? Is it wrong? Could also be that there's a lot of stuff that is not correct about your brand. And then the next step is to find out where's this citation coming from? What are URLs? Can I impact them or not? So there's maybe a benefit if the citation is your own website. That's awesome. You can have an impact on it. But what if it's blog posts? What if it's social media? We saw that was interesting for us when we looked at perplexity data, is that there are often social media is quoted and used as citation, as a TikTok, Instagram, and so on. That is maybe a bit more difficult to have impact on that one. And so back to the strategy, I think it becomes broader and more complex with the years, because it's not just Google and keywords, and you just can look at which keyword gaps do you have to your competition. You have to have sentiments, you have to have citations, and you have to understand how visitors are not coming to your website anymore. So it is a challenge. I can understand that it's overwhelming. I think this is why tools like we launched are really there to help you find your place in this new era of LLMs.
Yeah, I think really solid points, and I +1 to both of that. I think 5 years ago, building an SEO strategy was about, like Anurag said, targeting keywords, optimizing pages, earning links. If I were building one today, I'd start from a completely different place, right? It'd start with data. First of all, your audience intent. What are the questions that they're asking? How are they trying to learn about the product services that you offer? And then what Nico said, like, what's your AI readiness at the core, right? And so how ready is your brand for AI? So I think the first step there would be to build a technically sound and fast website, because if your infrastructure isn't right, everything else falls apart, right? And from there, I'd focus on creating topic authority, not just page by page optimization, maybe just mapping the entire content ecosystem of and that connects the content across the internet, right? Because 83% or 85%, depending on what news you're monitoring, 90% of these citations are third-party sites, to Anurag's point. And so you have to make sure that it's not just your website, but across the internet, your brand is being represented in the right context, right way, right shape, right form. And to do that, you have to build in AI visibility from day one as well, right? Using structured data, clear information architecture, content written not just for machines, but also for humans. And finally, I'd measure success differently. And I think we covered this in one of the earlier questions, but instead of just rankings and sessions and all that good stuff, I'd look at brand visibility, I'd look at engagement, I'd look at conversion signals, because SEO today, I think, is less about gaming algorithms, it's more about building trust that scales. Because that's exactly how we've been thinking about this at Bluehost. We are helping businesses move from just doing SEO to building sustainable visibility systems that grow with every algorithm change or every new LLM that's kind of spinned up out there.
Awesome. Thank you. We are almost at time. We did not get through nearly as many questions as I was hoping, but that's because you all just have so much to share about the field. So I would like to do just 1 or 2 rounds of rapid fire questions. So if you could give one word and maybe a sentence to support, that would be wonderful. We'll do the best we can to try to keep this brief. So for this first rapid fire, a lot of marketers are struggling to measure SEO impact with AI summaries. I think all 3 of you have mentioned that at some point, that AI overview and how traffic is dipping essentially because people are just not going to websites as well. So Anurag, let's start with you. And if you could give in one word or maybe just one sentence or 2, what metrics should small businesses and agencies and brands be tracking if they're seeing a dip in traffic to their website? What should be the new metric they're tracking?
Yeah, I think one thing we look at is, look at the corpus of keywords that were bringing traffic earlier and look at the CTR for those keywords that have not changed their rankings. And that can help you establish the net effect of AI on your click-through rates. And that gives you a baseline. And then you can identify pages that have actually lost, additional click-through rates, on top of that baseline. And then tracking your market share in terms of your visibility in AI and Google, and your brand citations that Nico was mentioning earlier, and brand mentions, sentiment are becoming table stakes in today's world.
Awesome. Nico and then Kunal.
Okay, and try to make it fast. So traffic still matters, but it's not telling the full story anymore. And it will become less and less. So what you can watch is conversion, right? Everything that you want to have conversion. And if your conversion is not going down, but maybe even going up, you're doing the right thing, even though you don't have the traffic anymore that you had like 2 years ago. You could use also like a proxy. Maybe impressions could be something you can look into to take it as a proxy, even if it's 0-click and the visitors are coming back to you. And if you want to look at traffic, look at internal traffic. That's something you can really measure and see how people are going through your website and hopefully then convert.
Awesome. Kunal?
Mentions and sentiment. As long as, even if there are AI overviews, AI summaries, is your brand mentioned, and is it mentioned in the right way? That's the sentiment. Those two, I think, are the most important in this new age.
Okay. Next rapid fire, we're going to start with Nico, then Kunal and Anurag. And again, one word or one sentence. We'll say one sentence because one word is pretty much impossible. And these are topics we've already touched on a little bit. So this is why I'm trying to just give a very rapid fire summary here. Technical SEO. We've talked about it a bunch. Do you think that is becoming more important in the AI world of SEO or less important in the AI world of SEO? We'll start with you, Nico.
Yeah, okay. Technical SEO is the foundation. It will become more and more important. And we are working on very interesting features at Yoast. So watch us this year. There will be exciting news that will help you a lot to get ranked on LLMs.
Colonel, how about for you?
So I think it's going to become more important because now we have a new persona, a new visitor in the room that we didn't have before, which are AI agents. With all these browsers fully automating a lot of checkout process, stuff like that, absolutely have to build from scratch or reimagine, rethink, building for this new persona that's now a active visitor actually making purchases, which is an AI agent. So becomes way more impactful.
Yeah, I think if you can do only 3 things for technical SEO, I would suggest doing, definitely do some more server-side rendering or reduce reliance on client-side JavaScript, as LLMs are not doing as much, JavaScript rendering and not as efficient as Google. And secondly, interconnecting your content into topical hubs. So you're really, maximizing the authority from your existing content. And instead of each individual piece fighting in the battle alone, you're making them collect together their power, the collective power to rank together. And the third one is, speed. I think that the importance of, fast websites doesn't go away. And that's, really, really crucial that you're not losing the battle when it comes to speed.
Awesome. This next question is still rapid fire round. We're going to start Kunal, then Anurag, and then Nico. What's an emerging SEO or AI tool that you've actually seen make a real difference?
Like I said earlier this year, I started using custom GPT bots. Very, very powerful, nimble, can be used for multiple use cases. And more recently, have started leveraging Quarter as well. Those are 2 powerful tools.
I would emphasize, how platforms like Quora can help you win across Google and ChatGPT at once. And so I think the best AI is the one that can really tackle the 2 sides of the coin together. It's not just about winning in ChatGPT or that Google is going to be dead. It's not about you can complete blind eye to AI and just keep doing the way as if nothing has changed. You need platforms that can really do both, and I think that's kind of where Quora differentiates itself as a a comprehensive solution for winning in Google and in ChatGPT.
For me, it's the new generation of AI-assisted summaries. So everything that creates summaries of your content that is helpful for the LLMs. It's helpful for every reader to have like the full context of the content at one glance. And what's really fun, but also super important, helpful, and we touched it already, is the visibility in LLMs and how you're doing there. It's also fun to find out who are your competitors, what is the sentiment about you. So try it out. It's really good.
Awesome. And our last question, this will be our closing question. If you could give an agency or small business or someone, even a solopreneur that's building a brand, one piece of advice to future-proof their SEO strategy for the next 3 to 5 years, what would it be? And we'll try to keep this on the shorter side. It doesn't have to be one word, or because I know that's impossible. But Anurag, let's start with you, then go Nico and Kunal, and this will be our closing question for today's webinar.
So I have 3 words for you. I think one is journeys. Focus on the journeys, and as AI evolves into journey engines, win the journeys. And I think you can really even as an SMB beat a Fortune 500 if you focus on the journeys. The second is connected content. So don't stop creating content that is living in isolation. Connect your content using links, right? And I think the third is consistency, and it's not just in your own website, but what other sites are saying. Drive more and more consistency. Nuke every inconsistency you can find to because that's taking away the confidence from LLMs and the likelihood of they saying what you're trying to say.
Great. I say build for understanding, not ranking. It was all about position in the past and who's number one, and now it's more like it's the presence. It's that you create for humans first, but also like for machines second. This will not change. It will become a challenge for everyone. But if you focus on a good structure, on building your trust, your authority, I think you will win this new decade of AI search.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off that. My advice would be to build your SEO strategy on adaptability, not certainty. Because the only constant in search is change. Algorithms, AI experiences, even what visibility means, right, will keep evolving. So rather than chasing every new update or tool, focus on building a flexible foundation, a technically solid website, content driven by real expertise and user intent, and systems that allow you to test, learn, and pivot fast. SEOs and agencies that will win in the next 3 to 5 years, I think, are the ones who are going to treat this as a living, breathing system, one that evolves with technology and user behavior, not against it. And that's why at Bluehost, we've been investing so much in making performance, content, and scalability work together. Because when your foundation is adaptable, every future change becomes an opportunity, not a threat. That's what I believe.
Awesome. Well, that brings us to time. I want to express huge gratitude to our 3 panelists. I know you tuned in from different time zones and continents even to be here today. So I really appreciate you all coming together to share your knowledge and your expertise and your experience with all of us and all the attendees. I learned a lot throughout this. As I mentioned, I'm not a big SEO marketer, but I still learn a lot from the 3 of you. And I'm grateful for you sharing your insights and your knowledge with all of us here today. I also want to give a appreciation to all the attendees that tuned in. We hope that you found this valuable. We tried our best to answer the questions that you put in the chat. If there are any residual questions, we'll do our best to follow up via email to give those to you. We will be sending out a recording of this to everyone that registered. So don't worry, if you've registered, you'll be able to go back and digest this at whatever speed works best for you. And so just want to say one more time, thank you to Anurag, Nico, and Kunal. Thank you so much for stopping by and sharing your experience. I really appreciate it. So thank you so much, and we'll catch you all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.